I'm in a hotel room. This is weird, but it's nice. I wanted to say hi to Jason. I haven't seen you for so long.
I know. Oh my gosh.
I can't.
Where are you at?
Long. We're in Minneapolis. I'm doing a play with that storyteller Kevin Kling.
I love him. I love Kevin Kling.
I know. It's our first big thing. We've done some one-time concerts before, but never made anything. So we wrote a play together, and then my music's in it kind of throughout, and so we're memorizing lines and stuff. It's very different than my usual life, but it's fun.
I was going to try to go to that, but the day I could go is sold out.
Can you come Wednesday? We have a free dress rehearsal Wednesday night.
The 19th?
Yeah.
That's my birthday.
Oh, well, you're probably doing something else.
I'm not. I don't have anything I'm doing.
Are you serious? You guys should come, you and Tina.
What? No way. Okay, I'll get info about that later. But yeah, I'd love to come to the dress rehearsal.
Yeah, it's kind of invitation only, but you guys should totally come. That would be amazing. I would love to have you see it.
All right. I'd love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I have a story about Kevin Kling. I wanted to see him when he came to St. Scholastica one time, and I bought tickets for me and Tina, and then I had the time wrong, and I thought it started at 8, but it started at 7. We get there, and it's an hour into the show already. I felt so bad.
Oh, crap. Did you meet him afterwards?
I don't know.
He's really nice, so I bet he wouldn't have cared. He's so nice.
He's super
really
funny,
cool guy.
too. I like him so much.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He's good. Yeah, so it's been really fun. We made this play about these weird creatures going on a journey. I don't want to give more away, but we have costumes. I mean, it's worth coming down if you aren't busy on your birthday.
Well, I will try to come, and if anyone has a chance, Invisible Fences, definitely it's worth checking out.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and I just graduated with a theater degree from UMD, and so seeing you doing theater, it's oh, great. It feels like now today I have something I can actually bring to the table, because normally I feel I'm talking to musicians and I don't know enough about music to fully I try to make the connection between what I do, which is drawing cartoons, and
cool.
And whatever else other people are doing. So while we're talking about the play, I'm curious, what brought you to the theater, or I guess maybe in some ways back to the theater?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So my parents, when I was 10, started a dinner theater in Duluth called Change of Pace Productions, and they were already doing plays. They would bring us to rehearsal when they did plays, and we would just run around the building, and they'd be doing rehearsals. But so they had already done plays, but they started their own company when I was 10, and they put on 3 shows a year, which was you know a lot about theater, so it's a pretty big time commitment. Yeah. So we kind of grew up in this theater family where they were always rehearsing or doing shows, or prepping and building sets, and we passed out programs, and so I grew up around that, and I didn't realize till I was older that that's kind of a weird way to grow up, living inside this theater thing. And then I did some shows myself, children's theater and some high school and junior high, but after high school I didn't do really anything else. I wrote one of my parents' murder mysteries one time, in college, and that was kind of fun and weird and very new experience kind of thing. But but I hadn't done plays for a long time. And then last year I got asked to do a show out in New York on Broadway, make the music for it. And that was my first experience back into theater since early college. So it was really weird to be thrown back in. And then when Kevin asked about this, I was well, sure, that would be, I love Kevin. So anything he wanted to do, I would have said yes, but turned out to be this.
Which, yeah, and that works out. And I saw that you have a pretty successful Kickstarter for that too, right?
Yeah, because when we started our project, it was just going to be a concert with a story in between each song. And because we've done that before, that was something that we've done a few times. And then so we were all yeah, but then we had a conversation. It kind of got born out of this idea, he has a disability too. His arms, one of them doesn't work at all, and one of them's very short. And so we were kind of talking about how, and maybe you all relate to this, I realize, but I think it's just a human thing, but where you kind of feel a little bit yeah, I'm a person, but I also relate to this made up creature in my head that's not really a person. I think everybody feels that way, but we were talking about that, and I was telling him about this creature that Paul and I made up that's me, that sleeps under a tree in a hole till 1, and she's furry and kind of weird and gross, and that's like me, and we call it a largraph. We already had a name for it. And I was like, what would you be, Kevin? And he's like, I think I'd be a grasshopper, but I'd be missing a couple wings or whatever. So like that was the beginning, and then we started kind of riffing on it, and we're like, we should write a story about it. So that's kind of how that came about. It was kind of based on this conversation. So the reason we did the Kickstarter is because when we were gonna do the show, originally it was just gonna be the two of us standing on stage, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, well, we need costumes and lighting, and we wanted to have ASL interpretation because accessibility is a big part of it. And then we're having captions on the back wall, which is going to be really cool. And then also Jeremy Yildisacker, who's an amazing guitarist who's playing guitar, because I realized I couldn't loop if I'm going to like be on stage. I was like, I got to get my violin and play really fast and then like put it down, right? And so I was like, I think we need to add a guitarist. So we added Jeremy Yildisacker, but he's also narrating so that if you're blind and you're out in the audience and you can't see very well, you'll know what's on stage because he's going to kind of set up each scene like a storyteller sort of. So there's all these new elements. And so we did a Kickstarter because we didn't want to make the theater foot the bill for all of our really wild ideas that we threw at them at the last minute. So that's why we did it.
Well, yeah, fair enough. These things, yeah, can get pricey.
Yeah, we were like, what have we done? So that's why we did the Kickstarter.
Yeah. And Jeremy, he played on the Macbeth with you, right?
Yeah, he played guitar on Macbeth, and he's in a bunch of other bands. He's in the Suburbs, and he was in Grandma's Boyfriend. Oh. Yeah, he does a lot of stuff, and so he's really cool. But we've actually only done that Macbeth soundtrack together. Like I knew of him, and we sat in, I think, on like a Drone Not Drones one year, but we really didn't know each other that well before Macbeth. And Macbeth is mostly remote, so this is kind of fun because we're actually getting to like play together. Oh, yeah. A lot of the Macbeth, he broke his hand in the middle of Macbeth, which is terrible. His wrist, he like fell on a sidewalk, so he was still able to like slide guitar. So I can't believe he did it. I was like, are you sure you really don't worry? And he's like, no, I got it. So he did that, but we didn't get to do a lot of in-person hanging out when that project happened. So this has been really fun to get to like play together. We did a fundraiser on Thursday for the theater, and we did like a scene from the play and a song from the play, and it was our first like performance. It was really fun. Started raining on us, so we backed under a tree to stay dry.
Where was that at?
That was at the Bakken Museum in Minneapolis.
Oh, cool. How's Paul?
How's Paul? I know. He's good. He's in the play.
He's in the play?
He's got a cameo. This was not planned, but we needed a person to do this thing that's happening that I can't tell you about. But yeah, he's in the play now. He's got like his curtain call figured out. I'm so excited. He's good. We're just kind of like, our lives are sort of the same and sort of different since before COVID. We're not touring quite as much, but I keep getting these theater-based projects. I have another one I'm working on in New York that is not announced yet. But like, so he's coming out and traveling and doing all the same stuff, but just not quite as many like gigs yet. But hopefully someday.
Do you still have the old van?
That van, I wonder which van you saw. We had one called Gussie, a big old white one. That one died eventually.
Yeah, the white one.
Yeah, that one was so cool. I miss that one. But we got a new one. Her name is Sylvia. She's a silver minivan. She's good too. But she's actually also not. We're pretty hard on vans. We're like, oh crap, there's like already have 100,000 more miles. Okay, so we got like another year with Sylvia probably, and then I don't know how long she'll live after that.
You gotta bring her out back.
Dude, yeah, Alexi's old van, he's been posting as like 500,000 miles already on his Honda.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
His Facebook, awesome. He's like 540,000 already or something crazy. Like,
oh my Lord. Yeah, see, our Gussie, we would have done that because I loved that van. It was the perfect van, but it was starting to get so creaky, like Paul was going to like fall through the floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're like, this does not feel roadworthy anymore. It's everything was kind of starting to come apart, I think.
When it becomes a Flintstone van, you gotta move on.
Exactly. You're like, this prize should not go all the way across the country.
I personally don't prefer kicky-footing my car across the country.
Yeah. It is creepy when you're like, oh, I can see the floor or the road through that hole. Interesting.
I was thinking about all your travel, and I was wondering if you ever get up to Basaba Park anymore. I was trying to see if they still do the Midsummer Eve party thing.
They do. I haven't been in a couple of years, but I did go. We went a couple. I suppose it's been since COVID, probably. I'd like to go back, but it actually just hasn't worked out timing wise. Like we've been gone or had family stuff the last few years. Like I would have gone this year, but I think was it Grandma's marathon? My friend, I got a couple friends running this year, so I actually stayed home to watch, which was fun. So
I suppose you live
yeah,
right
no,
by it.
I love that place. Yeah, I do. I know. Well, I'm so bad at mornings that I just like pour a cup of coffee and throw on a dress and then just walk straight out the door. Otherwise, I don't think I would ever see Grandma's marathon. Probably if it wasn't like right outside. I'm not a morning person.
I'm with you. By the time I am thinking about it, it's over.
Yep, I'm like, oh man, yeah. No, I saw my friends this year. Well, one of them did the half marathon, and I was like, I'm sorry, if you want me to see you, you have to run the full because I'm not getting up at 8:00 to,
Yeah, no way.
you know.
It's a crazy, I think, to get up to watch someone run a marathon, let alone get up to actually be the one running it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was cheering, but I was thinking, oh man,
no way.
What are these people doing to themselves? Yeah, this is
torture.
horrible.
It's torture. Yeah. That's what it is.
It is.
I think people always talk about the runner's high or whatever, but
it's like childbirth, maybe, where you forget how bad it was.
Yeah.
And then you do it
I can
again.
imagine. I've never done either, and I hope I never do. But I can imagine running a marathon and childbirth being similar.
I make them coffee on their way out of town, and they look like they're doing good. I mean, I don't see they're missing toenails, but somehow they they seem okay.
I work at the depot, which I think is near the finish line, isn't it?
I think so.
Pretty close,
I think so, because I think I had seen people walking back to their cars after running.
Yeah.
Which I think is crazy. I wouldn't want to be walking anywhere.
No way. No.
Yeah, no, I would just. I'm gonna crawl, or you guys can carry me.
Yeah, you can carry me. Yeah, there was a funny story. My mom has a friend who is older now, but he ran the marathon once. But he was his house was like kind of up on Superior Street, kind of towards the end of the race, and he running, and he thought about it, and he's like, I don't care that much, so he just ran to his house and stopped. So he's like, I don't want to finish this race anymore. So
he's proved that he can do it. He knows within himself.
Yep, he had only a couple miles to go. He just chose to end early. So that's more like what I would do probably.
Yeah, I would leave the house and go, I could have done the whole thing and turn right back around.
Yep. Be like, it's worth it. I'm not an athletic type. I like music. That's really more my jams.
The artist life is life for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to Tina this morning, and she reminded me of a story of, speaking of playing music, and she was mentioning, and I don't think I know this story, your first violin teacher that kind of like figured out how to...
Yeah, Mrs. Sommerfeld in Duluth. Mrs. Sommerfeld was the 5th grade orchestra teacher, and so in order to join, you had to take a music listening test, and I got like the only perfect score, so I think she was like, well, she should learn how to play something, but she didn't really know how to do it. So the part I didn't know is she called my mom like after that test and was like, I think I want to try to help her, but I'm not sure what to do because my arms are so much shorter than anyone else's. So she was like, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the regular way. And so my mom's like, well, Gaelynn said that maybe, she could play it like a cello, or maybe she could play the cello, or I don't really know anything, though. My mom was like, I don't know anything about stringed instruments, so good luck, basically. And then the next year, I did join orchestra, but she worked with me like one-on-one to find a way to do it. So we did end up playing it like a cello, but she knew, because she knows so much about stringed instruments, I couldn't hold the bow the right way. But she's like, wait, I have an idea. Some bass players hold it underhanded, kind of more like a pencil or a baseball bat. I don't know. I like, it's like underhand, so I'm not grabbing it from the top of the stick. So without that, I don't think it would have worked. So she like kind of helped me make a style that worked, and then she helped me figure out the fingerings too, because I can't use my pinky finger. It's just the angle of my arm is wrong. So she helped me figure out how to move around. She was huge, and like it's so cool because she was just kind of like, I've never done this. I don't know if it'll work, but I think we should try to figure it out. So I'm just glad I don't think many people would have been that open-minded, because it was she basically remade it.
That's amazing though, because having that teacher that does that extra work is so amazing. I mean, I think of Denfeld, like Lee England as the art teacher, or even like the current band director right now at Denfeld. You can just tell what a difference it makes. And all of a sudden there's all these great jazz kids coming out of Denfeld right now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. I kind of assumed when I was younger that was just like the way a teacher would act. But when I started touring, I met a lot of people with disabilities who were like, "Oh, my music teacher told me I couldn't do it," and and I was like, "Whoa," like I didn't realize how big a deal that is. I mean, I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but I mean, I've also heard. I hope it's getting better. I think music teachers are hopefully like learning how to be more inclusive, but I feel like a lot of kids got told by music teachers in the old days that they were like bad and they should just drop out or whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh.
I know lots of people that took piano lessons and their teachers goes to the parent and goes, your kid doesn't have an ear for this. They should just quit.
Yeah, and it's like,
Wow.
how you never know what's going to happen with somebody. And it's just such a good, like, fun hobby, even if you're never, like, get really good at it. But it's like, it's just amazing to me that any teacher would say that. I made a goal because I taught fiddle for 3 years, and I remember telling myself, I'm never going to suggest that a person quit. And there were some painful, like, I knew it. We would laugh about it. Like, real squeaky people in my lessons, but like, but it was fun for them. And it's like, why would I say like you shouldn't do this? And eventually they did get better because I didn't quit. You know what I mean? Like they just had to work at it longer.
Do you think that having that support? Yeah, I'd agree. As kind of rare as it is, because I think I had I didn't have anyone ever tell me to quit, but I didn't have good experiences with art teachers in school.
Oh, that's
we
bad.
would butt heads a lot because I was, well, to be fair, I was very insistent about drawing comics and cartoons, and they were like, but that's not the assignment? And I was like, I don't care. But yeah, but to have somebody who allows you to fail and allows you to experiment and try, do you think that, or how big of an impact do you think that has made on your career as an artist since?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's big. I mean, in my case, it was more like she didn't predetermine how far she thought I would go. They still, like, I had a really good teacher. He works at UMD, Rudy Perot. He's the orchestra conductor, but he was my private lesson teacher in high school. And we would trade dinner theater tickets because we were pretty broke. And so he would like go to the dinner theater and then teach me lessons. But I think it was kind of a cool challenge for him to try to figure out how to rework the violin, kind of like, he was interested in that idea of like, how could she play it differently? So he was cool, but he held me to really high standards. But what he didn't do is, if there was something I couldn't do, he didn't dwell on it. He just made me work really hard on the things that I could do. And like, I think that's an important lesson, because like, if a kid doesn't have good ear but they have great rhythm, I don't think you should tell them, oh, you should quit and only do drums. I think you should like really hold them to a high standard on the things they can do, because like, then you learn the skill of like perseverance, and like eventually your own interest takes over, but you need a teacher who's like nurturing the right things. I don't know, do you agree with that, Jason?
I'm a bad student. I don't know. But no. No. I actually had a choir teacher that Steve Dietz said, I just think was one of those great teachers that I don't think I was the best choir student, but just it's like, well, I don't know, it's like you can be in Silhouettes but you can't be in this a cappella group. But it was like, we tried a lot of really hard things, and I definitely learned so much. And but I at the end I wasn't the best sight reader. So
that is hard. Yeah, for choir especially. Wait, so what motivated you to like learn all the, like, were you self-motivated then when you like were working on guitar and ska and all this stuff that you did later?
It was like a weird bumbly path. I got a guitar when I was 5, and I got all excited, and I took a couple lessons, where they put the blue stickers on for G and the green stickers for C, and you learn a couple chords, and did that for a little bit and then stopped, and kind of I got this, I go through cycles. I'm into guitar, and then I was like, I skipped it for a long time, and then I got back into it when I was like 12 or 13 and took lessons from another guy, Mel Lamar, who was really great, and and then I wanted to start a band, and then I quit lessons again, and then I just kind of learned, just learned songs and made up songs, and never really got that good. And then I went to UMD Jazz and Billy Bernard, and then I learned a whole bunch in a little bit of time, but then I quit after 2 quarters at the time and went on tour with the ska band. So I don't know, kind of just a bumbly, slow, learn a little bit, take a break, learn a little bit, take a break. It's like photography. I've gotten into photography, and then I don't even want to take a photo for 5 years. And then by that time, all my gear is so old, and then buy a new camera, and I get into it for a little bit, and then, or cooking on the car, we get into video for a little bit, and then I never do video ever again. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of different things,
Well, it's good to have multiple interests, but I bet you learned, I mean, like, even those short periods with teachers, I think teachers can just be a good boost. Like Alan Sparhawk, I consider him like wouldn't call him a teacher, but kind of mentor, because when I first got the looping pedal, it's because he gave me one, and he was like, you should learn how to do this. And
I was thinking of that Murder of Crows.
Yeah, that was like going to school in a way. You know what I mean? Like, I learned so many things in that short amount of time, because I had never even heard of a looping pedal. And then he's like, I'm going to loop you. So he would loop me, and I would just play harmonies. But then eventually he gave me one. And then the best part is when I started writing my own songs, I could show it to him, and he had like just these little tiny feedbacks. He never said like, this sucks. He would be like, maybe you should add a third verse, or like, I think this could use a bridge. And it was just so encouraging. So I think that's kind of, I guess, what I mean. They don't have to be like teachers officially, but there are people in your life, I think, that kind of like are really good at not squashing when you're like getting better at something or learning how to do something. Yeah. He was really good for that.
You know what I think that is? I think it's somebody who cares enough about whatever you're doing to pay attention and give you some thoughts on it. And then I think, yeah, even if they're not teaching you anything, they're just making you think deeper about it, which I guess, in a sense, is the same thing a teacher's doing, aren't they, right? They're just giving you homework or whatever so that you can absorb whatever into your, the geography of Africa or whatever into your mind.
Except for I never absorbed that kind of thing.
No, so I didn't either.
Well, playing in Woodblind, I mean, with Vaco and Jimmy Cooper,
yeah.
I mean, those guys are so musically educated and amazing. I've learned so much about music styles and rhythm. I mean, our last record we recorded live to a click track, and I can tell you, before Woodblind, I couldn't even. My rhythm was not that good. I was so scared of click tracks, and Vaco just is like, when I met him, he's like, you have to play to a click track. You have I'm not gonna be in this band. Well, he didn't say that, but it's like, we're not recording a record that isn't on time. It's got to be right. We got to play to a click. I was like, oh boy. And then I got used to it. So just having that, yeah, like you said, that push towards excellence, I guess, that helps me. So that actually, out of all my teachers, Woodblind's probably been the best school I've had.
No, that's so cool. I love that. It's fun to look back and be like, holy cow, if I hadn't met these people and learned this thing, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's a lot of steps along the way. I think everybody's journey is probably pretty windy, like yours and mine. And I feel like it's all this thread that you look back and realize.
I'm on the very start of my kind of career, and it's already kind of janky and all over the place.
Yeah, there's no straight line. It might look straight from like 1,000 feet back, right? But it's never really, yeah.
It's odd, and I guess. The other artists and stuff that you guys know, is that also the case with them as well? That everyone kind of just ends up all over the place? And because how could there possibly be like a path, right?
There's not a path. I mean, if you think about Alan, like, Lo got signed really early, and they did a lot, but he's always had like side projects, and I feel like you learn something from everything you do. I mean, I'm sure, but like in my mind, his path looks pretty straight, but it really probably isn't. You know what I mean? Like if you were to think about it.
Yeah, I suppose from the outside we have that 1,000 feet away, it looks straight, and then you have to be in that life in order to see all the weird directions it goes. Well, sometimes. Some people just have weird lives.
Yeah. True. Oh man.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting with all of the success you've had. Oh yeah, because like earlier you said, oh, I just I was doing a play in New York, kind of offhandedly, like it wasn't on Broadway. Like
Yeah, that was really cool too. I just don't know how to say it. Like this really cool thing
yeah,
happened.
it was super cool.
Yeah,
And you,
it was fun.
but even still, here you are in Duluth. Well, I guess not right now, but you stick around the area, and I understand that even though I don't have the same success, obviously, but I don't want to leave the area. I like it here. I want to travel. I want to see other places,
Hmm.
but I would always want my home base in Duluth. So I'm curious, what has kept you in the area?
I mean, I love Duluth. I love Duluth. So like Lake Superior, I'm obsessed with it. The music community and just the people here are really cool, and there's stuff going on. It's been tough for us because I'm pretty high risk for COVID stuff, complications. So the last few years have been a little sad because I haven't been out and about as much. But the people that I know here, the music community, like it's just such a cool place and it's so beautiful. So like we did that thing in New York and I lived there for 2 months in a hotel room or whatever while we were putting the music into the play. And it was cool. Like I definitely think New York is fun, but I just the lack of nature and stuff, there's no way I could live out there. Like I
Yeah. Yep.
just really love Duluth. And so I think we'll stay here always and then just yeah, it's fun to travel. And then it makes traveling really fun because it's like, oh, I'm somewhere different. But coming back to Duluth, it just feels like there's no way. And my family's here and people like Jason, I don't see him a lot right now, but I mean I've known him since I was like 18 or something.
Mm.
Like
When you're
there's people
busking on the lake walker
I,
playing with
I
Andy.
know.
What was
And then
it?
you like have me
Gable and Galen, or what was
Gable
that?
and Galen. It was so fun. And like stuff like that. There's just no way I would want to move. I really like it here. And it's good like to get kind of out of the scene because like I really do believe at the heart of it all that like you could end up releasing an album and it totally bombs and everyone hates you and you never like sell anything else again, but you could still like do open mics and this is the place that I'd want to do that. You know what I mean? Like it's a cool music scene. I think Homegrown's really amazing that we have such a big festival of local acts. I sing the praises of Duluth at all cities across the globe because I think it's a really cool town. So pretty.
Are you ever going to bring back your Christmas variety show?
I want to, yeah. Hopefully, I mean that's the thing. As soon as I feel like okay, I can do indoor stuff. Well, I'm like plotting. I'm trying to figure stuff out, like behind the scenes. Like we might do something with like bring a couple air purifiers in or whatever, and then just do some shows because I do miss doing live stuff. I've done a bunch outdoors, and this show is indoors, but it's everyone will be wearing masks, and I don't know. I'm just trying to navigate it. I don't know, but I want to do the Christmas show because that is my favorite holiday times.
You'll
A
have to
million,
do
and that was such a
Christmas in
fun
July
show.
in the park.
Huh.
That'd be cute. I know, but someday the solstice show will return to Wussow's because that was so fun. Yeah,
Or maybe
really
it
had a
needs to
good
be
time.
bigger. Go to the west.
Oh.
The West. I've never been there yet. Is it pretty cool?
It's super cool. And it's
Yeah.
accessible. They put an elevator in, and yeah, it's totally set up for that.
Yeah, I mean, eventually I'm going to release the Macbeth soundtrack
Yeah.
and then probably do a couple shows with the people that played on it because we have some live versions of at least a couple, and then maybe we'll just do some of my songs. But the Macbeth album release, I think that was going to be at the West,
Yeah,
but it
because
never
Al
happened yet
Church
because we
is
haven't
on
mixed
that,
it.
and Dave
Yeah,
Mailing, and
I know. Love those guys.
I
I mean,
know.
seriously, such cool people.
So speaking of accessibility, I one thing I think I want to talk about is Ramped, recording artists and music professionals with disabilities. You're a co-founder of that.
well, I mean, because when you started playing here, I mean, at first, before we'd lift you on stage, and then that just became, the dignity behind it. And then we did that last
Yeah.
big show, and we rented the ramp, and that
Which was
that
so
kind of
cool.
worked. But it makes me wish, when I was 22 years old, that I would have really understood what things would be like if you did have a disability. Because when you don't, when you're 22 years old, you can't even imagine, those kind of things.
Yeah.
But now I really can.
Yeah, it's been a big journey, like I think every person, like every disabled musician kind of navigates it on their own at the beginning. Like you want to play, so you're like, sure, I'll have you lift my chair. But then like it started dawning on me, like I'm pretty small, so Paul can carry me up. But what if you were like 250 pounds? Like you just wouldn't be able to do that. And so I started realizing that if I want to see more people with disabilities playing, there has to be places for them to do it, you know? And so then in my own life, I started only playing at accessible venues. And if they didn't have a ramp, I would play on the floor and that was cool, but it was still kind of all by myself. And then during the pandemic, one weird thing that was good that came out of it is that a lot of disabled artists started getting asked to speak on these virtual panels. And so we would talk about accessibility in the music industry, but we hadn't known of each other before. So I'm like, what? There are other people like doing the same thing, like trying to make people, you know, it's like, because like most people like Jason are really nice people who just built a venue and didn't realize, and like it wasn't like they're doing it to leave people out, but they didn't know. But then at some point you got to work on like, well, what's the solution, right? So we wanted to educate people and also get to know each other. So we decided, it wasn't my idea. The person who founded it, like the main founder, Lachi, she's a Black blind EDM artist out of New York City, and she asked me, she's like, I want you to co-found it with me. I've been thinking about it, which is funny because I had thought of, wouldn't it be cool if there was an organization where we could all like have more of a collective voice? But I was like, haha, I do not have the time to make one of those. And then, but she is like a powerhouse. I don't even know when she sleeps, but she was like, I'm going to make this. Can you co-found it with me? And it's something I really care about, obviously. So what's cool is there's artists getting to know each other and share their stories and like what's worked for you. Because some of the artists, it's funny because I think, you know, I still feel like me, and I play like I play weird gigs all the time where like I'll play like a library gig with 4 people, and then some of my shows are really big, so I'm kind of all over the map. But some of the artists in our group are just starting out, and they don't feel like they have the right to ask for like a ramp or to like, you know, discuss like, well, you know, could there be an ASL interpreter at this college gig where, you know, like they're starting out. And so the whole point is that if they're in ramped and ramped is like more visible, then they can be like, it's not just me that cares about this, you know, this group. And so, yeah, so we're just kind of getting started. Last year got a cool grant from the Ford Foundation to hire like a program manager. So like, I think it's actually going to continue like and keep growing and hopefully help people get educated and do something. And then the best part to me, the part I was so excited about is I'll get asked to do things because, you know, I'm the 1 or 2 of the disabled people that people know. And like, they're like, oh, will you come speak? And if I can't, or it's not like feasible, or I just am like, well, I'm working on this other thing. Now I can be like, go to this website. There are 60 other disabled artists that will gladly be hired by you, you know, because I like, sometimes people will say things like, oh, you're the only person we know who's ever needed a ramp. And it's like, well, I happen to be the only person that's played here, but I know there are other people besides me that care about this. So like now I can just be like, go check out the website and learn about, and some of these artists are so amazing. Like Jason, there's some people you should get to know, but like Eliza Hull, she's from Australia. She just did a tour in the US and the UK. Ruth Patterson is in a band called Holy Moly and the Crackers out in England, and she's probably one of the best performers. I mean, she is so good. Like there's a lot of, and then there's, most of them are from the US. But those 2 I've met, and I really, really love their music. Like there's some really good people, and you read their bios and you're like, oh crap, they've done a lot of things and they've been working really hard, but the media doesn't cover disability that much when it talks about diversity yet. And so it's like you don't even know they exist until you kind of start digging, and you're like, well, so we want a place to find us, to elevate it, you know?
Yeah.
That's great.
Have you noticed an increase in general just awareness of disability related issues in the last, well, maybe even just since Ramped started up?
Yeah, I would say like when I started touring, if I would suggest a ramp or like talk about accessibility, it was sort of like the actual first time any of them had ever thought about it. And now it's like they know, especially since we started, which is something I really believe, is that, you know, you don't talk about someone's race or gender as like a bad thing or a barrier. It's just part of who they are. And that's how I feel disability is. It's just like the way you were born. It's not like a bad thing or negative. And so like, if you really want to support diversity, making your stuff accessible is part of that. And so when diversity came to the forefront more in general, and then if you say disability is a form of diversity, it's like a light bulb goes off, and I feel like people are more receptive now to it. And like just like this venue I played at on the 9th with Dave Mealing, it's like an outdoor patio. They just have like blues bands usually, but they have new owners, so they're trying to diversify the lineup a little bit. And so he asked me to do it, and I was like, okay, well, I need a ramp. And they just were like, okay, cool. And they built one. And so it was like not even, because I was like, don't throw it away. Like if you take it down, like put it in a storage shed or something, because like then you just have it in the future. You know what I mean? But I think that there's a turning point. I do. I'm curious to see where it goes, because the big, huge problem in America is that we have this bill called the Americans with Disabilities Act that says everything needs to be accessible, but the American government does not fund any of it. And that is a legit problem. Like, it makes me mad that we do not support disability better, like through our tax dollars, you know what I mean? Because then they put it all on like someone like Jason to pay for it or whatever. So like what I think is exciting is in Minnesota anyways, we have a bill that I helped to work on that's hopefully eventually going to get passed, where like someone like Jason could apply for a grant, and like actually it would just be for that, you know, like I want to make my stage accessible. Okay, here's a grant. And that would be a big step in the right direction, because I think that's one of the reasons it's so slow is some stuff does cost money. And, you know, and I still think people need to pay for it. Like maybe they do a fundraiser or whatever. But like at the end of the day, wouldn't it be cool if like our actual country supported that too? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm hopeful that it might end up actually getting passed in Minnesota. It would be a local thing, but it'd be a good example for other states.
Yeah, that's what I like to think of our state as. It's just like a kind of a good example. But
yeah.
I hope that's always true, because I don't always double check.
I know. Sometimes you're like,
I'm
we live in odd times.
There's nothing in the news.
Yes.
How's your beef stick consumption going?
Actually, hilarious you say that. I got kind of beef sticked out at a point. I was like, oh, dried meat's not able to stomach very well. I just recently had a beef stick when we took my parents. We didn't take them. We went on a vacation together to Montreal. We drove out there, and I had a beef stick and I liked it. And I was like, okay, maybe I can go back to my beef sticks. But I got kind of beef jerky, beef sticked out, because on the road, that was what kept me alive a lot. And at Wussow's, you have very good, I mean, maybe you do not anymore.
Not anymore. We kind of went along the wayside, I guess.
Oh, they had really good beef sticks.
It was COVID, I guess, because they're just, no one came in, and then the beef sticks just stayed there. I wasn't there
to eat them.
And you weren't around, and no.
I was probably I bought probably 90% of those. I bet, right?
Yeah, maybe. I loved putting them next to the vegan dessert. You know, beef stick next to the vegan bar, just for juxtapose.
He's like, I just like to mess with people without even letting them know. It's just subtle. Yes.
Do you guys have any pets anymore? Is it too hard?
Our little Clarabelle passed away in June of 2020. She had cancer, which was really sad. But then in October of 2020, my friend who fosters animals talked us into getting a bunny, a rabbit. His name is Merlin. We still have him. He eats every chord in the world, so you should not get a rabbit if you're a musician. And so we had to chord-proof, bunny-proof all our chords. It's ridiculous. I mean, I can't leave any gear out. Like one time he got out and he wouldn't go back in his cage before I had a virtual show. So Paul had to lay on the floor and shoo him away every time he tried to eat my chords. So he's sort of a nightmare, but he's very cute. And my parents love him. So when we go out of town, they take him actually. We roll his cage into our van and bring him over. I think they might end up eventually just keeping him, but I like having a pet, I must say. Yeah. Do you have any pets, Jason?
Our old dog Henry passed away as well now, but we have a new little 1.5-year-old Australian Shepherd mix shelter puppy from Alabama, and she's about 1.5 years, and she's good at hiking and sleeping in a tent, and
Oh, cool.
Really good. It's like opposite of Henry. She doesn't bark, and if another dog comes by, she just sits down. And if she runs, she can be off leash, and you can call her, and she comes back. It's like, what in the world? This is like totally opposite than
Yeah, Henry
Henry.
was a character, man. That's for sure.
Henry was the best, though.
He was cute. I know it's sad. It's like sometimes like Clara loved popcorn, and whenever we made it, if any stray kernels got out of the popcorn popper, she would like jump and grab them or whatever. And so sometimes I still feel her presence when we're making popcorn.
Oh.
You're like, oh, I think she's hovering in the corner, being like, guys,
I also noticed now we don't have a kitchen vacuum anymore, because when I'd be cooking, Henry would just everything that dropped. And now I step on stuff on the kitchen floor. And I'm like, why is this here? Because we don't have a kitchen vacuum anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, so your new dog doesn't do that? I thought every dog did that.
No, our new dog is like
An angel.
weird, not like the nicest dog that just, I don't know, never.
That's cute.
We even bought a new butter dish because Henry broke our butter dish. So we're like, maybe we can get a new butter dish because Clover might not break it.
Oh, Clover, that's a cute name.
Yeah, Clover.
I'll have to meet her sometime. That's cool.
So cute.
Oh. Do you have any pets?
Yeah, we've got all sorts of animals at our house. We've got 2 dogs, 3 cats. There's a frog. Though the frog is going somewhere else because we're not good at taking care of him or something. Or I don't know. I'm always just worried. Oh, we used to have a rabbit. Unfortunately, yeah, she died about a year ago.
Did she live in your house?
Yeah, she was in our house. Yeah, she was an old rabbit. I don't know if old
They can
rabbits
live pretty long though. They
Yeah.
can live. Some of them can live to be like 12 anyway.
Yeah, it might have been
A
around
lot
there.
older.
Yeah, our dog won't go in the kitchen. I don't. We don't.
Won't go?
Yeah, he just won't. He'll go really anywhere else, but the kitchen, he's just like, nope, I refuse. Maybe there's a ghost in there we don't see. I'm not sure.
Is it like a tile floor?
Oh yeah, it is like the kind of the slippery kind of like a fake wood or whatever. I don't know what it is exactly, but I've wondered if it's that. But he'll kind of creep in like a couple steps, and then he's like, never mind, and he backs up. So I don't know
So
what his
weird.
deal is. He's a weird dog.
I forgot we do have maybe a 7 or 8 year old goldfish that Tina won at the Superior County Fair when Woodbine was playing. In that, you throw the ping pong ball in the fish bowl or whatever. So
Oh yeah.
this fish
It's still alive?
It's still alive. The fish is so big it's like a dinner plate sized goldfish now. And then Tina got 4 snails. And then they like to get it on. So now we have hundreds of snails and hundreds more on the way. So if you need a snail, if anyone out there needs snails, free snails galore.
What do you do with the snail? How do you keep them?
So Paul the goldfish now has a 125-gallon tank that's 6 feet long
What?
with
Oh my
200 snail buddies.
So he's like living amongst the snail. They live underwater. Snails do.
Yeah, well, they come up for air. They climb up the side of the tank and they get a little air, and then they jump off and they go wee, and they float to the
Really?
bottom. Yeah,
Oh,
they're pretty
that's
cute.
so-
Do they
That's
say
cool.
we?
Wee, but it's underwater, so it's
That's cool. I had no idea. Dang. Well, I don't need any snails yet, but I will keep you in mind.
like, I'll take a picture and send
You
it to you.
never know.
Yeah.
With these crazy artist lives we lead, you never know.
Maybe a snail will come in handy someday. I mean, they are cute.
Well, Gaelynn, it's been lovely to meet you and talk to you.
This is Terry. We didn't even
yeah.
introduce.
And
This is Terry
yeah.
Johnson.
I know. I was like, wait, I think we're started. Okay, here we are. Hi, Terry. How do you know Jason?
Well, he employs my girlfriend,
Oh,
which
cool.
is yeah, and that basically.
And I don't know how one day we were talking and then somehow this podcast, I don't even know how this happened.
Oh yeah, you were wanting to do something with 1 Week Live.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was like, I don't think you know what you're talking about exactly. This is what you're saying, and then you're like, oh yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a
We were
podcast,
going to do a
basically?
podcast of 1 Week Live because I didn't know how to get it out to the world because, CDs are, and I was like, maybe we'll do a podcast and put all the music on a podcast. And then that didn't really work, but then we did this instead.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So then, yeah, I'll have to look. Is it going to be like on the Wussow's page?
Yeah,
or-
it'll be on anywhere
Everywhere.
people find podcasts. It's on.
Oh, great.
Just the Wussow's podcast. I guess maybe now's the time I should pitch my other podcast. Not really, but kinda. That's what it's called. Not really, but kinda.
Oh, your other podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
It's conversational like this one, except way more like vulgar, I guess. Like on our last episode, we spent a while talking about different rodents that we've accidentally hurt or maimed or in some way. Just to give you an idea.
Definitely different vibes.
Different
Yes.
vibes, but it's a good time. That
That's
releases.
cool.
So the Wussow's podcast releases the first Tuesday of every month. Not really, but kinda. Releases the third Wednesday.
Cool. Well, I'm glad to be on, and it's just fun to talk to you both
It's
because
super fun.
It was
been a
a lot
while.
of fun.
Yeah.
I'll send you an email. I'll try to come Wednesday.
And yeah, anything else with that you wanna pitch?
Yeah. The one other thing we didn't talk about, I guess, is I'm writing a book. So I'm writing a memoir. I've been saying that since 2019, but I'm actually I finally finished the book proposal, and there's a place that's going to publish it called Algonquin Press in 2025. So now I actually have to write it. I have a year. So that's one of the reasons I haven't been touring a lot, is trying to work on getting that ready. So yeah, so I have a year to write it, and it's gonna be fun. And that's probably when I'll start touring for real again, is when that comes out in 2025. It'll be a good reason to hit the road. So
Maybe we could do something with Zenith Books and Wussow's and do an outdoor release in the parking lot.
oh my gosh, I would love that.
We
I
did
think
that
that
for
would be
David
great.
Sedaris. It was so cool.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that would be really, really, really fun. I was definitely going to be talking to you, but now I will definitely.
I think that's the idea. Yeah.
No, that's the book release. That would be cool, and then that would be the launch. I can go out of town after that, but I should do the first one here.
What's the
That'd be
book going to
so
be
fun.
called?
It's called Linger in the Sun.
Oh yeah, that's a
Because
song, right? Isn't that
Yeah,
a song?
yep, the one from the Tiny Desk is Someday We'll Linger in the
Oh,
Sun.
yeah.
So we kind of played off of that title. But it's going to kind of be about growing up and learning how to play, and then traveling, and just kind of ending on this idea of disability culture and disability as diversity. But it'll be hopefully fun. It's been really fun to write. I got to talk more to Tina, because it's I love writing, but all of a sudden you realize how much you have to learn. Where dialogue is a new world for me. So I've been it's fun to watch yourself. The more you make yourself do it, you can see that you're improving. I don't think I'm Shakespeare by any means, but I'm just saying I've gotten better just in this short, writing the first couple of chapters, because you have to, you turn it into people and they're yeah, this is okay, but you need this and this and this and this, and then you got to go back. It's kind of a growing experience that's new. So I think growing is the goal, right? You just try new things.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't have to be the same thing your whole life. You just gotta work on it, and it's fun to try to get better at stuff.
Yay.
I agree 1,000,000,000%. Yeah, I've been trying to catch myself when I just don't do something because I'm just anxious about it, and then just doing it anyway, just getting stuff going, doing stuff, not caring about the end result, because I'll get better eventually. It doesn't matter that it sucks now, basically.
No, exactly. I mean, there's this best quote I ever read about that was in a book called The Art of Work. I think the author's Jeff Goins, but he said something when you're following your passion, you're always going to be afraid, because every new experience kind of pushes you up against the wall of the unknown. So just get over being afraid. You will be afraid, and it doesn't mean there's nothing wrong. If you're afraid, it's 100% just normal. And so that kind of helps, because I used to feel I put a lot of weight. I mean, even with playing with Alan at the beginning made me really, really nervous, and I took everything so seriously. I mean, I still kind of do that, but I try not to. I try to remind myself that it's okay. None of this is life or death, and also it's okay to be afraid, because that's just a normal human response to trying something new. So that's kind of cool. That's helped. That's when I got that Macbeth soundtrack. That was a very new experience too. I mean, we had to troubleshoot. Someday, Jason, I'll have to tell you about how we made it, because Jake Larson is a saint, a hero. He recorded. He was the engineer, and we had to get pretty creative to make it feel live in the theater.
Oh, sure.
Well, it was actually just being press buttons and press go. So I mean, we had to learn a lot on the job, but that's the whole thing. Is it's okay to be afraid. You just got to do it anyways.
Yeah. That's where the interesting stuff comes from, I think, right?
Yeah.
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 I think so. Well, it's nice to see you, and I love you, Jason. I
Yeah.
love Tina.
Good to see you.
And Terry, it was really nice to meet
Yeah,
you.
lovely to meet you as well, Gaelynn.
Yeah, and I'll look forward to hearing this podcast and the other ones when I get to look at them.
Yeah.
Right.
When you get around to it.
Take care, guys.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.